What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Trading Live with Bubba. And of course, markets are deader than dead. Sorry I missed you all on Thursday. There was a recording, but in the meantime, markets are deader than dead after yesterday's massive rally. And again, remember, we talk about this often. The massive rally was not a shock at all. As you saw, most markets were into oversold conditions. So you get a national relief rally. Now, where are we going to go from here? From a day trading standpoint, there's been very little to do. Okay, the patterns look good, but the rest of the stuff that we need has not looked good. There has not been much volume. Without volume, it makes it much tougher to trade. Without it volume, there's less action. There's less price action. There's less participation, which becomes an issue when you're trying to be an active trader. That's the difference between short-term trading, like we're trading 4 minutes, and trading over a couple of days. You can deal with the lack of activity. But right now, even though it looks like, I mean, these are certainly patterns. Thank you, sir. These are certainly patterns that we would be looking for, but we do not have all the stuff that we need to go along with it. The volume is too light. So, I could tell you how good these trades were, but I didn't make either one of them. So again, they weren't good because I didn't make them. All right. In the meantime, let's look at our regular stuff, and we'll see. Again, you never know. The markets don't announce themselves. But here you had, as we talked about last week, Apple, very overbought, coming back down to the mean. Here it is. It looks like it's making a base around 222. Now, Apple's got earnings next week. So anything you would do, I would want you to conclude by the end of this week if you do anything. But right here, I don't see much to do. Okay, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. You are in a stock that is trending higher, but you're really not anywhere to really say, well, I want to buy. Certainly, I could justify here a support level, but I don't think there's any reason to. Again, I'm not a big believer in justifying trades to make. I'm more of a place looking for the opportunities, and when they do show up. Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second for me, because there's a technical issue that I'm dealing with. And hold on, let me see. Okay, that's good. Okay, so anyways, Amazon, okay, which got very, very oversold. Had you been watching it, and again, there's things I can't tell you because we're not always going to be together when these opportunities arise, okay? But you could have sold some put spreads in Amazon as late as yesterday. Now, remember, the difference when we look at the IWM and the SPY and the QQQ is those are only for a day, okay? This is a week, so there's a little bit more duration. Of course, the premium is going to be a little bit higher as well. So, and we have to be prepared. But certainly right now, we've rallied enough to be back in the middle of nowhere. So there's really not a trade to make here. Okay. Coin, again, very overbought. Okay. And interestingly enough, even with Bitcoin going lower, coin is going higher again. It has come substantially off its highs, and you would expect a pullback here. So here is one that I would definitely look at making or selling some call spreads in, because I would expect a pullback. Now, there's two ways to play the call spread. You can play the deep in the money call spread, playing it as a short position, or you can play one that's just slightly out of the money that allows you the opportunity to potentially collect the premium because you don't expect it to go much higher. So those are the two different ways to play it. And in these markets right now that are lacking action and activity, I would be more inclined to play the safer one, which is just a little bit out of the money, assuming it not to go much higher. And as we just go back and take a look. So now got a potential trade in crude oil here. So let's take a look here where we're looking. And our stop in crude would be 76.37. It looks like it's going to be a buy. And you can go ahead and buy crude if you want to play with me. You can. Okay, 76.37 is the stop. Okay, and let me set my orders into sell. I got my stop in, so now let's get some orders in to sell them. And 1, 2. Okay, and anything else worth noting? The euro currency could have been something, but it's so low. The volume is so light, but the crude was reasonable. So we got the crude oil potentially on, and we'll go back and look at this because, again, I'm not going to change anything, and I'll know if I get filled. You'll hear it. I'll hear it. Crowd getting absolutely slammed. I think this is a great potential opportunity. They've been the brunt of all the all the beatdown and all the bad information. So now, they've been oversold. Now you have an opportunity. And I do have a position on this. I am short the 365, 345 put spread, okay, which is deep in the money. Not anymore, though, okay? I mean, I see it's already coming out. So, again, this was when it was lower yesterday. And, again, this is something that we want to look at. And again, when you sell a deep in the money put spread, what you're really doing is you're buying a call. Okay, it's a cheaper, more effective way to buy a call. Okay, Meta, which has earnings again next week as well, is again coming up from these oversold conditions, came off support, rallying higher. Again, remember, you're just trying to play the probability. That's the whole thing of trading is you're trading one big probability amount. Okay, that's it. Okay, so don't try to get cute. Don't get involved with the news. Does it matter who's going to be the president? No, but you'll hear the news continue to talk about it's a Trump rally, it's a this rally. It doesn't matter. The price action tells you everything. So don't put yourself in jeopardy trying to figure out how the markets are going to interpret the news. Your job is to react to how the markets interpret whatever they want to interpret. Okay. Google, which has earnings today, I believe, after the close. So there's really, first of all, the good news is it's in the middle of nowhere, so there's nothing to do. So we're not involved anyways. But certainly I would not make any trade new in Google going into today because, A, you're going right into earnings. So do you really want to take a gamble on which side their markets are going to move? I will assure you that the earnings will probably be good because they probably underestimated. And this is the new gimmick on Wall Street is to under promise and over deliver onto earnings. And so we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, our crude trade is in a little bit of trouble. Maybe we're going to get an ad on here, though. So let's take a look. Yeah. So we'll see. Okay. Didn't quite make it to the add-on stage, but it looks like right now it's under a little bit of pressure. Could be a potential losing trade. It's not there yet, but it certainly isn't looking good. The little rally we're getting in the markets, we're getting it with no action. Okay. We're getting the rally with no price action. So once again, there's not much for me to do with it. Okay. I'm in the crude trade. It didn't give me an add-on. So I'm in what I'm in and that's it. And there's not much else to look at or not much else to do. So let's go back to the main board and see IWM continues to explode. Now, once again, we talked about this last week. We did sell some big spreads here and it did come all the way down. Got you out on a daily basis. You could have done it for any extension of period that you wanted. And there you go. So now here we are. We're back trying to move up again. And it looks like it's going to get into that overbought territory once again. I would wait for it to rally a little bit further. I would probably suspect that if we get around the 224, 225 level, I would sell them a lot of call spreads. Okay. And I would sell the deeper in the money variety. Okay. That would I would actually be creating a synthetic put. Now I'm only looking at the fact that the probability is that there's going to be some retracement and some pullback to the mean. And that's one of the things you want to always remember is that the markets are very much geometrical and they're very much mathematical. Okay. When you're trading, you're not worried about the fundamentals. You're not worried about anything but the technical analysis that you can do and you can find opportunity. Let's see what's going on in our trade here. Okay, so it does not give us anything else to do. Certainly, the Canadian dollar is a potential sale, but it's really not enough volume for me to recommend with more than a couple of people here because there's not enough action here. So I just sit back and wait. One of the things you have to learn in this business is to be as patient as you can because you end up putting yourself in jeopardy. Moderna, kind of in the middle of nowhere, just hovering around the mean, back into a little bit of very tight consolidation, which would suggest that there is a a much bigger move coming, direction unknown. Even the chart itself is hard to determine direction depending on how you want to look at it. Microsoft, okay, came off again, very oversold, came off, approaching the mean. Earnings next week, not much to look at here. Again, we have to look at the picture, okay, and there's no real edge. There's no real advantage for me to say, okay, I can make this trade. So I look at the next one. Nugget in the middle of nowhere. Okay, as we said last week, it was a great opportunity to sell it, and of course, it turned out to be right. Okay, Nvidia. Okay, it was the couple days ago. If you took it, and again, if you didn't, remember, it's never if you miss a trade. There's always going to be trades. These markets are always going to get to positions where the mathematical probability is in your favor. You have to be patient enough to wait. Okay, it's not a question if it's going to happen. The real question is, do you have the patience to wait for your opportunities? Okay. That is something that we've taught and we learn, and we make sure that you try to understand that the markets will be here. Their markets are open 241 days a year, and it won't be long before they'll be open 24/7. Okay. But for now, they're still open 241 days a year. The Qs, again, same thing, get oversold, rallied, middle of nowhere. What am I going to do? Okay, I have no interest right now. Now I am more looking to be a seller. I think the trends are lower, but right now, for me to want to be a seller of the Qs, I would need about another $5 or $6 rally. So really, I'm just kind of on the sidelines here. Square, right at the middle of mean, in the middle of nowhere, nothing really to do. SPY, towards the upper end, but again, I would be a seller, but I'd like to see about 560, so about a $4 rally from here, which would be about 40 points in the S&P. Tesla, again, just churning in consolidation between 240 and 270. Nothing really for me to do here. Okay, Win, still at that oversold, and certainly I would have no problem selling some put spreads here. Again, I think it's probably fairly prudent to go ahead and do that. You've had a pretty much straight down move, but it's given you enough time. The last time we did it was 2 weeks ago, and it worked out just fine. XPI, getting to that overbought condition, but really not there yet. And I think that you have to understand in these conditions of markets, you want to be very careful. I think that if you look at Zoom, I would certainly sell call spreads here. Okay. Over 60, because I don't think it's going through 60. I think that's overbought. I think that's at the right level. So I think we continue to wait and watch. But again, you're noticing that there's not a lot of real excitement here. So even with the great pattern, which is exactly the trade we're looking for, it was not a justifiable trade to really take. Okay. Now, again, if we were busy, I could have justified it, but I didn't. And as I said, I didn't take it myself. So I'm certainly not going to talk about how good the trade was because I don't even have it on myself. We are in the crude trade, which is just a small loser. It did come back. And now it's an interesting dynamic that happened here. And this is one of the problems that happens when you're dealing in quieter markets. Okay. You got virtually almost the blow off, almost a reversal on the way back up on the very next bar. Okay. Now the question is do you want to reverse out and short, or do you want to try to play the position that you have on? And there is no right or wrong answer. I'm going to choose to hold on to the position I have, taking the fact that I believe that crude is probably a little bit oversold here. Okay, and it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play and keep on what I have on. I'll take the risk that it's going to see some retracement. Now, you could get what they call in the business, the French book, where it could go low enough to stop you out, okay, and then reverse and go straight up, because crude does figure to get a rally here at some point, okay? Again, we've been oversold for about 3 days, and this is pretty dramatically, and we're about three or four standard deviations away from the original mean. So again, this is something that you would potentially look at. So I'm going to go ahead and let it play as it is and hope that they don't get me. because again, if it was busy enough, then the correct play would have been to reverse out. But I'm using in the longer term chart as well. Okay, I'm using a combination or a blended method here. Now it does look like you might have something coming in the NASDAQ. You might have something coming in the S&P. But again, I will remind you that these are still extremely thin markets. Okay. So even though they are close and it is a justified trade, the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to take the risk, okay, in this trade? So yes, the NASDAQ is, yes, the S&P could be, okay, they're very close. You're taking in a little bit of danger, okay, because there is not enough market participation, okay? So I'm going to look at them, and personally, I am going to take them because that's what I do. But I am not necessarily telling you that you should take them, but you may want to watch. And what we're waiting for now is we're waiting for a red closing bar on a 1 minute cycle to trigger the sell. Okay. And until we get that, there's nothing to trigger. And I can't even identify a stop right now because we're still going up, which is fine. We want it to continue to go up because at the end of the day, we're sellers. So wouldn't we rather sell it higher? Okay. So, and our crude is in a little bit of trouble. Crude's on its lows. I guess I should have made the reversal, but I didn't. Okay. So we'll see. Again, we're waiting for these to confirm. Right now, the stop in the S&P would be 56.34, 56.34, and the stop on the NASDAQ would be 20097. 20097, but neither one of them have qualified yet. Okay, but that's the area. It looks like they may be coming here to qualify. Okay, so right now 97 and 34. Okay, it looks like they're both going to be trades, but we have to wait. We have to wait for the bar to close. Okay. You have to wait for the bar to close. It looks like they're both going to be solid. Okay. They're both trades. You can take one, none, or both. That's up to you. Okay. Again, I don't want you to put yourself in a position of exposing yourself if you're not sure what to do. But certainly they were both trades. Okay, so that is something that, again, you have to, be prepared to look at. And they're both running a little bit against us. So again, but it's not. That's why we have our stops at certain levels, because we're trying to avoid where they would come and take us out at. Okay, but it's very, very quiet. And again, as I'm saying to you, you can see that they're trying to run a little bit further. Okay, and again, this is not. You could be getting you could potentially get stopped out and get an add-on, but these are the things that you need to be willing to do if you're going to trade this style of trade, okay? Because now you're getting, again, potentially, we don't really have, and this is the real lack of participation, the lack of action in the market. So as we run out of time here, I will report in on Thursday how these trades ended up. If you took them, make sure you use your stop, make sure you're working orders below. And right now, both trades are all three trades that are potentially open are minuscule losers at the moment, but they have a chance to do either because we still have plenty of room to get to the stop. So I will see you all on Thursday. Have a great day, everybody. This is Trading Live with Bubba. Adios.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.